And here we go. Well, how you doing? Welcome back to Hibachi Talk. Pull up a chair, have a libation with my good bro here, Andrew, and join us for another episode of Hibachi Talk Tech in Hawaii. How you doing, bro?
Episode 4.
Nice to
Aloha.
see you, man. Aloha.
Nice to see you.
Welcome. So anyway, another exciting week just went by. Great times.
Another week of crazy stories.
Yeah, crazy stories.
Another
We're
week
going to
of
have
crazy
we're going to have an interesting guest on today. He's going to talk about some cool backup technologies in large data centers. So we'll get into that. We'll get into Angus is going to, talk some more tech stuff.
Good deal.
And that's going to be kind of nice. And then we've got our top 10 help desk calls.
Okay.
That's going to be a riot because, as you know, we run the largest help desk in Hawaii, and we could give you the top 100.
Tech help desk?
Yeah, tech help desk, but we'll give you just the top 10 that we
Okay.
have. So we'll go through that today, and then and go on from there. We'll see where it lends us.
All right.
So I'm Gordo, the tech czar, and here with my good buddy
Aloha.
Andrew, the security guy, who's always worried about being safe.
Yep.
And
Safety first.
Safety first. So we've been talking about our tech careers and how we've moved along in years. So what I thought we'd do, since it kind of applied to our guest today, is talk about the trip we made to the mainland. One of the trips we made to the mainland.
A couple big data centers, right? When we were studying GSOCs, really what we were looking at.
Yeah,
remember?
GSOC
Trying to how to
stands for what?
operate A Global Security Operations Center.
Okay, so we went to these.
We saw a little one in Silicon Valley.
A little one, yeah. Nice,
And we saw a little one in Redmond.
In Redmond, these small GSOCs. So huge data centers, huge facilities, had all kinds of security and all kinds of neat things. So let's talk about, so when we're thinking about, again, this tech industry and how we talk about there's more to it than developing apps, there's more to it than developing a sexy piece of hardware, there's all kinds of opportunities. So we go off to these two, small size, underline small, GSOCs, and we get to see an unbelievable number of people who are running these centers. So, explain, what's the GSOC? Since you're the expert in all this stuff.
There's other security operations centers. Everyone has one, depending on the size of your organization. Maybe it's a security guy at a desk that mans the access control and video system. But if you have enterprises like these folks have that are global, of course, they have those in regions around the world. And the ones that we got to visit actually were tied together so that they could fail over and handle global operations in different time zones and handle primary centers always like the center of business in that time zone. So they were in London, Silicon Valley and Redmond, Washington. I think there was one in Bangalore that they could fail over to, and the other one, the fourth one, was in I don't recall where they had the fourth one, but what we witnessed was the failover to the London
to the
operations center, and it was the full failure. They emulated a full shutdown of that data center as if all power died. The one in Redmond that we were at.
The one that we were at. So so I'm sitting here thinking, especially when we interviewed and met all the people that were there, the talent pool that they had of individuals that had to do everything from the policy and procedure side all the way through every piece of technology that needed to be operational and in place moving forward if they were to lose power, or if some other type of disaster was to happen, or if they had to move from one location to the next. So there was I'm trying to remember, how many people do you think were there running this thing?
Well,
and that was just the runners, not the runners, but the ones that put it together. It's just that group.
Sure. So recall Brian Tuskin, local guy, former HPD here, was the manager. I recall him sharing with us about 2,200 policies for the different types of events that they had experienced that they had to write a policy and a procedure for. So they were prepared to respond to all of those, regardless of when they occurred or where they occurred, in the same way, regardless of what operations center handled it. They had a half a dozen or so people there in the ops center when they went offline, for our demonstration.
Right.
So
that was in the ops.
But his back behind the scenes, they're tech people, I'm sure, and they also outsource a lot of that work. But it's an army. I mean, we had that other show with him here. Remember, he's got an army of people.
Yeah, he does have an army of.
We got to secure those organizations.
Ex-HPD, I might add. He's got an army behind them. Yeah. Most of them are ex-HPD, have now gone to the West Coast.
Yeah, and Seattle, and Seattle.
Many of them in Seattle, by the way. Go Pats. But many of them in Seattle who are now doing work outside of HPD, in other security-related industries. So it's
Sure.
kind of cool. And so we're trying to bring them back, but meanwhile, the HPD guys are going that way.
Yeah, I think they live a little better there on similar money. Or
True. That's why they're happy over there.
Brian wants to come back though.
That's true.
We
That's-
saw him
yeah,
recently.
well,
remember,
we'll
so
get him.
We'll get him
to come
someday.
back. So let's walk.
We gotta
through
get him
this-
on here, actually.
Oh, that'd be cool. So let's walk through the scenario. Here we are sitting in this facility in Redmond.
Yeah, we were in
Was that the one
we
in
were in the
Redmond?
observation room. They sort of, I think they had this packaged as not a show, but they had it definitely packaged for people to watch.
Right.
So that you could understand the technology and see it happen.
Right.
And so remember, the scenario was a fight out in the parking lot.
That's right, yep.
Of a building
Right.
nearby, and they actually had sent 2 actors there. They weren't physically fighting, but there was actually a scene with the vehicle, and
And the people that are working in those facilities did not know that that was an act. They hadn't been prompted that this was going to happen.
No, not the data center folks.
Yeah,
And the guys in London didn't know it was coming their
Yeah,
way either.
that's right.
Right,
So
right.
no
So
one
they
knew.
they've never let, and they do that all the time.
Yeah.
They do it infrequently, but they do it frequently enough to test that their functionality
Right,
works.
right. So here you
he
got
did
two,
share that with
you
us.
got 2 guys having.
Well, remember the call came in, so we were
Right.
able to listen to the audio track from their internal communications, and we were also able to witness the scene command video feed. So what we first got was a call that came in that someone said, hey, there's an argument, there's some guys fighting in this parking lot, and they didn't know where. And right when that call came in, the whole data center failed. Remember,
Yeah.
I mean, the lights went off at every screen, everything went dark.
Yeah.
And all the staff got up and walked out.
Yeah, that's
Remember
true.
that?
That's right.
We were sitting there going,
Yeah.
wow.
So they had
The
a
next
major,
voice was a British guy.
Yeah, they had a major power outage at the same time there was
Yeah.
a fight about to start or starting in the parking lot.
Yeah.
So now
It was just reported that they didn't know yet, but it had been reported.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to digress for just a second. So in my career, when I moved over to the city and county,
Oh, yeah.
sitting and counting of Honolulu,
Okay.
so I moved over there in IT. So we had a hurricane that was coming, and I'm relatively new on the job, naive haole boy that I am. Go in there and say, okay, so hurricane's coming, and they said, oh, yeah, don't worry, it's gonna. We have automatic switchover, and everything
For
will be
your
fine.
generator
For our
power?
generators for the data center.
Or at FMB building?
At the
or system-wide you have?
no,
or-
then it was just the FMB building.
Okay.
So they had
Which is
multiple.
your main east, that was your emergency ops center?
Yeah, so the emergency
Gotcha.
operations center was there, the data center was there, and dual backup systems, so that was good. One for the emergency operations center and one for the data center.
Okay.
So
So separate,
hurricane was
each has
coming. The protocol at that point in time, if I've got it correct, was if we lose power, we cut over. So guess what?
You lost power.
We lost power. Now, the emergency
How do we
operations
guess that?
center cut over.
Okay.
The data center went for a nap.
So,
It was like,
and was that all your connectivity
oops.
to your feeds to
so
the yacht?
it's our connectivity to a lot of the feeds and so on that are out there. So there had to be a lot of scrambling to get systems up that had failed because the automatic switch to the backup generator did not occur. So then you ask, okay, when was the last time you tested it? When it was installed, which was some 10 years earlier or whatever the number was. So that was lesson
So
number
they
one.
did like the test and acceptance,
And then
it worked,
no one
and no
did-
one ever did
did
like a
anything like
quarterly
we're
or a
talking about
monthly
now.
or, okay, gotcha.
Right. So, and I'll come back to the
Technology's
second.
only as good as the test.
That's right,
of
and
it,
your
right?
and 2,000 policies and procedures and all the things that are related to it.
Sure.
So that one goes in the tanker, and then so let's come back to these guys. So
How did the emergency go? There
fine.
wasn't one, right? The hurricane
yeah,
didn't hit.
it was fine, and we
made do?
we dodged another bullet. So, so then let's come back to these guys. So now, meanwhile, these guys do a shutdown like this. Everybody leaves the data center. Then it kicked over to London.
Yeah,
right.
remember, so the guy comes on, we could hear him.
Right.
And but it cut into him within, I would say, 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And he was dispatching the Redmond police to the scene.
Right.
And it didn't take him long, while he was talking in that initial phrase, I believe they cut in the video. He had zoomed in with the camera, so he was giving them the coordinates, the cross street, as I
Right,
recall,
right.
for the response, for
Right.
the PD, and
Right.
then he was looking at the scene.
At the scene, and so they were able to at the Redmond facility to track everything that was going on during the course of that incident that lasted. They made it last like 10, 15 minutes or something like that. I'm trying to remember.
I think till the
At my age, these things go.
the responders got there, and then the report was taken, and the scene was mitigated. The threat was mitigated, And, then he's reporting back whatever, he had to step through a procedure, and we actually had the procedure, remember? So,
Yeah.
and he followed it as if, he was reading off the script we had, and he's, on another continent.
Yeah, and I remember now that so once they flipped to London, London notified India, and India was on standby in case something happened.
In case they went down.
In case they went down.
Yeah.
So the Indian guy, and you could tell by the accent,
Oh, yeah.
I'm living here for a long time.
Yeah, that's right.
So
That's
the
right.
accent-
He was monitoring it as
Right.
well, so he was ahead.
The guy
I guess
from
he
India
could
was
watch what occurred if he wanted to as
Right,
well. So
right.
it was all shared.
Yeah.
And globally.
Yeah.
I mean, globally.
And it
That's
was seconds.
amazing power, right?
Yeah, it was just so
Yeah.
cool. So we'll come back to that in a sec. So I'm going to do now a day in the life, number 2 hurricane.
Okay.
Okay, so number 2 hurricane.
Do the people want to hear this? I mean, they might be
No.
worried about our ability to respond in this town.
So, well, we'll see.
The story gets better.
The story gets better.
Okay, keep
So-
'em- keep 'em
so,
engaged.
But well, I wonder if I should. Now you got me worried. But anyway, they've got, the bottom
should
line
worry.
is the next time they came around, we had gone through the processes and we had gone through the testing. And in fact, before the hurricane even hit, we even cut over. So we were already
So you're
up and
on
running.
generator
We were
power.
on generator
That makes
power
more sense,
way
right?
before. And then if power was to go down, and we did lose power in certain segments.
Sure.
And so, and the cool thing is we used social media to track a lot of stuff that was going on,
Mm-hmm.
which was new back then. And so that came into play, and we were prepared. And then then there's a lot of things that happened after that, including a backup facility and such. But we learned from the first one, and then we were really able to
And that was a
polish
long
the
time
next.
ago, right? This was 202?
Oh, this is like 2002. Yeah. So
Sure.
so
Two, I think.
Yeah. So there's been a lot happened since then.
Well, so I have a story. I
Okay.
was meeting with a department yesterday, several of their representatives, we'll just leave it at that,
Okay.
who are continuing to experience network system outages.
Okay.
But it's not the network, it's the power to the equipment that drives the network that's struggling with, like brownouts and area outages. And, the network equipment that links systems together has got to have the same type of reserves or the same ability to fail over and keep
Right.
power under it, or the network's vulnerable. Whatever link goes down, the entire network's down, and just
Right.
because we didn't have enough ups power on a switch in some remote closet somewhere in the city. So there's still more to fix.
So, anyway, and it's the same all over.
Sure.
Okay, so we're gonna kind of leave it at that. The whole disaster facility worked out. It was kind of neat. I learned a lot from it and got a
Sure.
lot from them on what we should be doing, not only here at the city, but other facilities that we are responsible for.
Mm-hmm.
So and we're able to bring those things forward. And we'll talk about more when the guest comes in. But before we do that, and we're going to take a break in a little bit, but I still want to let's do the top 10 help desk calls.
Okay.
Yeah, let's.
I'm not sure if I have it. You have it, though.
Oh,
yeah?
I have it right here. I have
Okay,
it here.
run through it and I'll comment.
Okay, I'll run through it. You comment.
You help me.
How's that? We'll do it.
These are live
These
quotes
are
from your
real.
people.
These are real help desk
They
calls.
occurred at the Paxa Help Desk.
Some are from Paxa Help Desk, and some are from others that I've gleaned from others.
Okay.
I say so. Number one is, you remember the tower PCs and so on,
Okay.
your CD player.
Sure.
You'll say comes in, wants to know how to fix their coffee cup holder. So they thought it was a coffee cup holder.
The CD, the
The
little
CD
tray?
player tray was,
Nice.
yeah, how do I fix my coffee cup
Wow.
holder? The other one was, it was one of my favorites, is why is my wireless mouse not connected to the PC?
Why is the wireless
This
mouse? They didn't
not
get it.
Connected to the PC. So another
How do you
one
help
was
with that?
Yeah, another
Do you hang up or?
Yeah, right.
We have to call our wireless expert?
Yeah. Why is my wireless phone not connected?
Can we
to
send
the
you a
phone
wired
system?
mouse? Would you be happier?
I'd be happier.
With wires on it?
Yeah, perfect.
Wow.
The other one was, can you convert? I want my television to be running on the PC. Now, you went. Can I connect cable? I want cable connected to my PC. One of my favorites, and do you know what this is? Can you fix my typewriter?
Your typewriter?
Call to our help desk wanting to fix a typewriter. So,
Wow.
do they still exist?
I haven't seen one in years
I
myself.
haven't seen one in a long time.
They come in handy, though, when you need one.
One of my favorite is my computer's telling me to press the any key, or press any key.
Oh, press any key?
But I can't
You
find
don't have
any,
the any key on the
I can't
board?
find the any
Okay.
key. I'm looking for that
Wow.
one. Who knows where that one is? I like one.
These are pranksters calling the help
No,
desk.
this is real stuff. Can I reset the internet?
Can I reset the? Oh,
We know what they wanted, right? But
Sure.
we want us to reset the entire
internet?
I don't to what to.
Where's that switch?
To Plato when it was when
Yeah.
it first started.
They might have that switch
yeah.
in Redmond, Washington, but we don't have it here.
Another one of my favorites is how do I remove the seed from my keyboard?
The seed?
The seed, they got a sunflower seed stuck down
Oh,
inside the
nice.
keyboard. So that was another one. I dropped my phone in the toilet. What should I do next?
Okay.
So.
Are they talking on that phone now?
Good point.
How'd they call you?
How'd they call you?
Is it still dripping
down
down your arm?
I've heard that you're supposed to take it out and put it in a
Rice.
bucket of rice.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone that's done that and had it work out the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
But I can imagine the new flavor of the rice when you were cooking it the next day.
It'll suck the moisture out of it.
That's for,
hopefully.
that's for Al. Yeah. I want to download this audio file and change it to video.
Okay.
How do I do that?
They need to come down here and talk to Jay.
Ain't gonna work that way. So, one of my favorites is, how do I pirate software?
Yeah, they call and ask that?
Yeah.
How do I pirate software?
How do I pirate software?
What's your exact address so we can send the police over to help you out
with that one. And then the last
Wow.
one was, I'm trying to get my computer to run faster, and I keep pushing on the accelerator, but it's just running the same. They had taken their mouse and put it on the floor and were using it as a gas pedal.
Come
They
on.
thought it would. They thought.
Come
they could-
on.
Only in America. What can I say?
Maybe only in Hawaii. I don't know about
so
that.
those
That's
are
crazy.
some of the fun ones that have come in over the
A
past.
gas? I don't have one of those.
I don't have either. I know. Well, I have
If
gas.
you get that internet restarted, let
Yeah.
me know, because I
Yeah.
want to get one of them gas pedals and speed it up.
But one of my favorite things is, it's getting near time for me to do my regular break. But one of my favorite things is that I love on a computer is that, what it says, remove your USB safely.
Okay.
Shut down the device. Do you ever do that? Life is way too short to remove your USB safely.
Oh, what's
I don't
that?
have time.
Run through the app
Yeah,
part.
yeah.
I don't use USBs anymore, so I don't know.
Oh, that's right. You want to be safe. Anyway, we are up onto my break,
time.
Lua time, so I'm going to head over there, and we'll be back shortly with our guest. And Angus is going to come in with this.
Right on.
This tech update.
All right. See you in a minute.
Thanks, guys, and enjoy your libations, and we'll see you in a bit.
All right. Aloha.
Aloha, Yappers, and a Happy New Year. I'm your host, King Zilly. From inner city out to the platform and now on the Yap Show. It's a new year, and most would say a new beginning. So this is a call to action. As we promote tech, energy, diversification, and globalism, with ThinkTech Hawaii, the Yap Show is all about advocacy for effective leadership, comprehensive youth policies, programs, and access to knowledge and information for upward social mobility, especially for the historically underprivileged youth. This means we'll be looking at young people making a difference in their community, youth policies here in Hawaii, the country, and the world. We want to highlight youth programs that are meeting young people where they are, working together to accomplish a goal or tackle an issue while providing information and access to free educational content for anybody looking to learn on their own time, study for an exam, or simply refresh their memory. We do this by inviting everyday people like yourself, state policymakers, youth advocacy groups, youth programs, professionals, and so forth. But most importantly, we'll be partnering up with my new organization, causeeffect.org. More information on Cause Effect, as this website is currently in development in hopes to feature courses, seminars, tutorials, and conducting surveys that will be featured on the show. As we leave behind 2014, I wish I could say we leave behind issues such as police brutality, youth violence, education, economic mobility, and so many other hot-button topics that made 2014 a difficult year. So what does it mean for the new year? What does it mean for youth policy? What does it mean for Hawaii as a whole? And most importantly, how does it affect you and your community? We want you to tune into the Yap Show at 3 p.m. Friday and find out. Aloha.
Okay, this is ThinkTech Hawaii, and it's Wednesday. Every Wednesday is Energy Wednesday here in Hawaii, the state of clean energy. 4 to 5 p.m. every Wednesday. Come and listen to us. And just to show you what I mean, I'm going to ask Sharon to tell us more.
Come and see us every Wednesday, as Jay said. And we have people like Jim Albers from HECO here and co-host Ray Starling here every Wednesday. We not only go on Olelo and OC16, but also stream live. So please come visit us, hear about the latest in clean energy.
Okay, Jim, you've been here. You got any comment on all this?
As important as energy is in all of our lives today, this is a great forum and a great format to vet those issues. So I encourage everybody to listen in and participate.
Okay, Ray, what do you think for a close?
Well, I think this is the greatest show in the energy world here in Hawaii. You can come here every week, 1 hour, and catch the latest on what's happening and hear from the people who really know what's going on like Jim Alberts, we appreciate your coming today.
Thank you.
Ray Starling, Sharon Moriwaki, Jim Alberts, and Jay Fidel here in Hawaii, the state of clean energy, 4 to 5
Aloha.
p.m. Wednesday. Aloha.
Aloha.
All right, we're back. Welcome back to Hibachi Talk. Angus is in the house. Angus McTech's here with us today. Going to talk a little about Microsoft HoloLens. Angus, what do you got?
How you doing there, Drew? Nice to see you, lad.
I see you've got a kilt on. What's going
Yeah,
on,
well,
man?
you know,
You're looking pretty sharp.
Yeah, you're looking wee sharp today. You know, it was Robbie Burns Day. We had Robbie Burns Day on January 25th, so we were celebrating, and we were, I was going to do a thing on the tech behind haggis, but then I realized there's no
There's no
tech
tech
behind
in
haggis.
haggis.
There's nothing. It's a cool stomach with some stuff in it. So I said, okay, we'll move on to something else. So anyway, you know how much I love my Google Glass, which they announced again today that they're really going to dump this sucker. So I'm going to be fading into the sunset with this. I'll be one of the few guys selling it 20 years from now if I'm making a ton of money. Anyway, I'm going to talk about Windows HoloLens. It's a new product that Windows is coming out. It's a system that overlays holograms over your physical reality. It's digital live, seamlessly connected to real life. So you have holograms and your real life together in one spot. It's amazing. And then also what it has is it's got high definition. It's like your life is interacting with the real world and your life is interacting with your fantasy world. And you can come up with ways to do different things every day. So think of a development and all those kinds of things. It's scheduled to come out in the third quarter of this year at the same time as Windows 10's announcement I talked about last week. So, if you want to find out more about it, go to, you can Bing it on Google or you can Google it on Bing. And, and you can
Nice.
go over there and what you can do is just do it on Windows HoloLens. And they got some wee videos on it. It's really, really kind of cool. But Drew, before I go off to something else, I got to talk to you about something else.
Tell me what.
A very new special app. Very special app. It's called Waze. W-A-Z-E. Waze. We know Honolulu has the best traffic in the world, right? The best. Actually, the worst. We have one of the worst traffic in the world. What you can do with this product, this wee free app, is you can download it onto your mobile device and you can pre-check your route. Your route to your house, or your route to where you're going back to your office, or your route to wherever you're going to go and party. But you can do that right from there. The cool thing is that you can find out where the potholes are. You can find out where the traffic is. You can also find out where the policemen are. Think about that for a minute. You can find out where the accidents are, and then you plan your route accordingly. It's a really cool app. It's the favorite Scottish price, $3.99.
$3.99,
So $3.99. So
that's our
you
favorite.
get that. So remember, go check that one out. That's a really good one. And then what's with Gordon and this stupid Pat's shirt? Anyway, that's it. We're moving on, and back to you, Drew, and I'll let you introduce our guest, and I'll be back next week with me Google Glass and some new tech talk.
Hi, thanks, Angus. Appreciate it. I'm a Waze user myself. Unfortunately, in Honolulu, almost every time you use it, there's just traffic. So, it might help you to save a few minutes on if you got to get somewhere, or at least you'll know you're going to be arriving late. Our next guest this week is our first mainland guest. He's out here from San Diego with a company called Pillar Power. Justin is out on the beach with us, going to have a drink, and we're going to talk a little bit about how to keep technology supported. Power drives everything. So, Justin, welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Aloha, brother.
Aloha.
Nice to have you here, Justin. Nice to see you, man.
Nice to see you again.
How's it going?
Very good. Happy to be here.
So, tell us about something really exciting.
I want to know more about him first.
Oh yeah, okay,
How
that's
did you
true.
get stuck in the power business?
Yeah,
it's a
that's
pretty good
true.
place
That's
to be
true.
today.
That's
I didn't
true.
mean stuck
That's true.
actually as a bad thing.
Yeah.
Well, I was born and raised on a Christmas tree farm, and incidentally, I'm allergic to pine needles. So,
So you had to get out of there.
my parents thought I was just trying to get out of work all the time. I was pulling all these excuses, and so I eventually just decided, you know what, working with the hands doesn't work for me. I'm going to get an education, and I always wondered how, TVs, radios, electronics worked, and so I studied electrical engineering. Then, of course, I didn't realize there was 100 different fields within electrical engineering, so it was a little overwhelming. So where I started after I graduated isn't necessarily power and where I am today, but
Sure.
I fell into Pillar about 5 years ago, and just
You
had
fell into a pillar?
Well, yeah, it hurt.
So Pillar is the name of your company.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Today,
I thought you
Pillar.
fell into a pillar and got some sense knocked into you.
Oh yeah, that's how I learned everything. Just
Right,
knock
yeah.
sense into
You
you.
hit him in the, as long as you hit him in the head, you can't hurt him. I've heard that
That's
one.
right.
right.
Is so you studied? Did you get an EE?
Yes, I have an electrical engineering
From?
background. The State University of New York at Buffalo. So.
All
UB.
right.
Oh, so you went
You
into,
went
when
back
you went
east.
into
Yeah, back
university, you went right into a tech-related field or an engineering-related field.
Yes.
Your major wasn't anthropology or.
Exactly.
Some of us
I've
got
never
here.
let-
Some of us got here by a sideways
I'm
path.
never
I
going to
can't
let
help.
you up on anthropology. You know that, ain't good.
There's a culture of technology everywhere I go. I identify that.
Oh, okay, fine. So you got into it right from the get-go.
Yes. Yes, I did.
Wow. You know our governor's an engineer.
Really?
I'm not going to say any more than that. So he's.
We don't do politics here,
Yeah,
do
we
we?
don't do
Not on the
politics, but he's
beach.
an engineer too. So we should have him on the show talking
We
about
should, yeah,
engineering. So anyway, sorry, I digress as usual.
problem.
So
From Buffalo, EE, you're back east, but you grew up in, I'm sorry, you grew up in the West or you grew up in the
I
East?
grew up in upstate New York.
Oh, in upstate, so
Buffalo,
you stayed there, went to school, gotcha. So we like to understand where people came from
Came
and how
from.
they got to where they're at. So
I used
what
to
was
live
your
across
first job in technology? Since once you got off you're not cutting trees anymore, right?
Yeah,
It's rough
right.
enough.
I had to actually get out of Buffalo. It was difficult to actually find. I mean, not like that. But to find work, I had to
I
leave.
understand.
I tried to get out, and they weren't able to pull me
There's a
back
good
in.
school in Rochester, right? The Institute of Technology
RIT,
there.
right.
Yeah, RIT.
And then Albany, RPI.
know a lot of folks from there. Yeah,
outside
right
Albany.
I
on.
used to drive to Buffalo when I lived in Toronto. I used to go across
To get away from Canada or what?
To get to Buffalo.
shopping, right?
No, yeah. Well, the drinking age was 18. So, but I could understand why you'd want to get out of Buffalo.
Wow.
It's better now. That's what they tell me.
I see.
They get
You don't
some-
go
They
back.
say a lot of
Are your
things,
folks
though.
still there?
Yes.
You got family there? Right
Oh,
on.
awesome.
Okay, so you took off to where? Where first? With you got
There's a
your
lot of
EE
bouncing
degree. Now you know you're ready for the big time.
Went to Dallas to look for work, stayed with some family, ended up getting an interview and landing it with Micron, and they relocated me to Virginia.
Ah,
So
wow.
I actually started out in the semiconductor industry as a chemical engineer doing, lots of stuff in like the clean suit, jumper, bunny suits,
Sure.
making silicon chips.
Awesome.
That's
So,
awesome, man.
Totally different.
Were you in production? Were you in design? But where would you? How'd you?
I was in
what-
production.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right on.
we were making DRAM and NAND flash.
Sure.
So that's what
Tech Talk,
that's what Micron
DRAM
does.
and
DRAM.
There you go.
yeah, all that.
That's
cool
the
stuff.
tie-in.
That's the tie-in right there. So
For Micron.
now,
Micron did well back
were your
then,
parents backgrounded in engineering or any of that kind of stuff?
No.
Nope. So they were Christmas tree.
My mother's teacher and my father was a business owner.
So there you go. So again, there's tech opportunities. You don't have to. It's there.
Yeah.
Make it happen for yourself.
I think almost everyone works in tech if they think about it. They just have to give it a little thought. I mean, there's ag guys, but even in agriculture, they've got
a lot of
technology
technology,
devices
yeah.
and technology that helps them be productive in that industry. So
Totally.
tech's everywhere.
So sorry, I keep interrupting, but we like to hear your backgrounds. You're going so after
Dallas. So were you happy in Dallas, or what'd you think of the West? After
I like
growing up
Dallas,
in the
but
East?
Dallas didn't like me because I was a New Yorker, so they didn't care for me that
They
much.
know you're not from around there, right?
They
Instantly.
called me a damn Yankee.
Yeah,
It was hard to integrate.
Hard to
Nice.
integrate down there. So were you living like in Plano or in the?
Actually, that's where my interview was, but it was Flower Mound.
Oh,
was where I
okay.
lived.
Wow.
I almost went to Dallas. Almost.
Ugh.
That wouldn't have lasted very long. That would have been with you. So
Yeah.
it's very good.
You're in good company.
So then back to Virginia, Micron's
Yeah,
corporate office. So
Manassas
did they
has
do
a-
manufacturing?
Yeah, in their corporate offices by Boise, excuse me.
Okay.
Manassas was a production facility that they acquired from IBM and retrofitted to do, their flash and DRAM.
Wow, very cool stuff. Very cool
I
stuff.
mean, that's pretty nice
So-
for just out of college. Did it pay well? You making money, or were you then?
Yeah,
was that,
I mean,
was that
it
pretty
was,
good?
yeah, and that's part of why I studied electrical engineering. It was, a cost analysis and 4-year degree, and you'd make pretty much the top 3 4-year disciplines. That pays the best.
Gosh, and I
One of the
started,
best.
I started at $5 an hour, right?
No, I wanna see
he
you-
hacked his way into a job.
I want to see your cost analysis, engineering and anthropology.
Anthropology, yeah.
Okay. No, wait, this was like difficult, easy.
I think computer science was number 1. I don't know where anthropology was.
Oh, it was by the
rank.
time I got a degree, and it was no one even wanted to talk to us anymore.
Yeah, so there we were done. So anyway, so now you moved into, this is a kind of an interesting field you're in now. How'd you get into this one? This drops and ups and microgrid.
So,
For the layperson, please.
Yeah,
Engineering speak 101.
Well, for the layperson, here we pay 41 cents a kilowatt hour, So,
Right.
so we talk about power in kilowatts, and they know what those are because they look at their bill.
Yeah.
These guys at Pillar to them, a 3 megawatt plant is called a microgrid. So they're into big power.
So big stuff, big stuff. I'm running big places on this.
Right.
Did you start in the east with them as well, or did you?
No, I was already on the west then. So
Okay,
I was
so-
already in California.
So how'd you get from Virginia to Cali?
I actually, just drove across the country. and
Oh,
just
no, but you
decided-
got hired, or like you were with Micron out west at that point?
No, in the East we had this dream, Silicon Valley has, magic and entrepreneurial
Ah, it
businesses.
does. I've seen it from an
yeah,
airplane,
so
we had
flying
a-
over it.
I thought maybe I was going to design the next app and make $1 million.
There you go. We have.
Did you chase that dream?
No, I
Awesome.
didn't. I mean,
Oh.
that was,
We
that
have
was
a
fool's
previous
gold.
guest who's there right now.
He's chasing the
He's
dream.
chasing the
He's
dream.
actually built some stuff that makes
Well,
money
yeah,
though. So,
so-
he's
so I hope he remembers
he's doing
us.
well at
But
it.
I'm not a software
He's
guy.
probably
so
watching
it was-
us now. He must be glued
To the
our
show,
program.
like all of our followers.
Sure.
All of our followers is. So
Oh,
my
yeah.
brothers. Anyway, so go ahead.
No. So with Micron, went out west, or done
No,
with that? Went and
just
looking-
decided
seeking-
clean slate,
looking for
let's
more
try
work?
something
Right on.
new, different
Okay.
lifestyle, West Coast.
Done with
laid
production.
back,
Was
yeah.
it like, were you on like a line? Like was it like line type production, or?
It was a clean room. I was a process engineer, so there was a
I see.
different department that would handle manufacturing. I would just make sure that the processes were correct, because if they were off, you'd have to scrap very expensive wafers that,
Tons
you'd
of
lose
chips. Were they melt
thousands
them
of
down?
dollars every time.
Was any of it recoverable, or was it just lost?
It was lost.
Wow.
Because it's just so tight in terms of the tolerances to build these things.
Sure.
Any deviations and they just scrap it.
Wow,
So,
that's something.
in the UPS world where we are today, semiconductor, building chips, that is really mission critical. Any deviations of power hits or anything like that, they have to throw out thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars of production.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right, because
Yeah.
your systems get burned. I mean, reflecting back on that conversation I had earlier about the city, I mean, literally, when the systems didn't work right, we burned out some stuff. And
Oh, yeah.
then we had to get parts shipped in and to
Yeah.
get things up and running, because that's how critical the thing is.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So now when I think of a UPS or an uninterruptible power supply, I think of these like rows and rows and rows of batteries. It's like batteries going on forever. And so I'm sitting there, and my system goes down. The batteries keep my system running for a little while, so that my generator kicks in and starts running up. Now, what you're saying is that there's a different way to do this. We don't have to be going and not being as green as we possibly could be. And there's alternative ways of doing that. So what is an alternative way from batteries? What can I do?
Well, instead of chemical energy, using batteries, you could use like a spinning mass, a flywheel, to store kinetic energy in rotational mass. So that's actually part of what Pillar does, is building devices that store energy through spinning weight. And then when you need it, slow down this flywheel and pull energy out of it.
Pull energy. So it's kind of like when you, like a top. When you,
Yeah,
like
kind of.
you spin the top.
It's much more stable than that,
I hope
though,
so.
of course.
And high RPM
Good
too,
to
by the
hear.
way.
So, but now, is the cost of running that less than it would be than standing up banks and banks of batteries?
Yes.
And I'm trying to figure out why. So why would it be cheaper? How would it be cheaper?
Well, because the life of a battery is like 5 years, and a life of a flywheel is more like 20, 25 years. So
Okay.
typically 5 years, you have to replace them all over again. And it's a lot of cost, and there's a lot of operations to keep those batteries available, because, batteries sometimes die, and this is mission critical. You can't afford to have batteries not perform when you need them. It's like, having a battery in your car and not using your car for 6 months in a winter place like Toronto, wanting to start the engine, but it doesn't start.
Or a balmy place like Buffalo.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, we always went south for the winter to Buffalo.
I'm thinking of how the data centers here, when we first saw them, they all had batteries. I don't believe that this technology was so new. It probably cost more 15 years ago, if it even was around. I'm not sure when it actually evolved and crossed
Yeah.
over and became more affordable than batteries, but it's definitely for Hawaii. We don't want battery disposal here, and I know the large center here has flywheels. I've seen them. So,
Right. So and in the city, when I was with the city, it was all batteries, and there weren't any flywheels at there. At least
Is
when I
it
was
still
there.
that way, or do you know? I haven't been in there in a
even
while
know.
myself.
But I know that the Star Advertiser, when they were down on Kapiolani Boulevard, in the corner there, South Street, they had a flywheel.
Okay.
So because they, the printing presses, right? They had
Sure.
to keep the printing presses growing. So in order to keep the presses going and the cutover time, they run the flywheel.
To cut over. So we're only just so that our audience understands. We're just talking about the time it takes if you have a brownout or you have a power outage, for you to cut over to a generator. This flywheel doesn't run forever and keep your stuff going.
Right.
So it's designed to provide the same stable power that you were on while your generator's coming up to speed and then cutting you over.
And then and like you said, and we can relate to this, 5 years on a battery and 20 years on a flywheel.
Right.
So there's economies definitely there. We've got the disposal of everything related to the batteries. Now I know they recycle a fair bit, but there is still a lot. And then you've got all the costs of what those are from the lead and the acids and all of those kinds of things that you've got to deal with. But what
Nowadays,
about, what
here-
other things? I'm thinking
Here we have to
Well,
freight them
also
out.
nowadays, you know, data centers are lights out facilities. You don't necessarily have people there all the time.
True.
You know, 20 years ago,
True.
you could safely shut your data center down in 15 minutes. That's not really the case anymore. So the need for batteries is a bit overkill. You don't need, 15 minutes. You only need a short-term energy storage device to bridge to your long-term source, which is your generators.
Gotcha.
So
Do you guys provide all of that? Do you have systems? You provide the middle part, the generator piece as well, all of it, or?
yeah, the flywheel is just one component,
Sure.
and there's a power regulation piece because you want to make sure that what you're getting from the utility is clean.
Mm-hmm.
The flywheel and battery doesn't do anything with power quality.
Okay.
That's only a storage device. And yes, we also have these diesel solutions where we integrate diesels in too.
Okay,
Gotcha.
now
Backup
before,
generation.
okay, before we go into the next one, we got to pay bills around here. So we got to take a small commercial break.
All right.
And get our bills paid. And make sure you go to the website and see how you can help us pay our bills. Jay will thank me a lot for promoting that.
ThinkTech.
So anyway, we'll take a small break and we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Aloha, I'm Hunter Hevlin, host of Sustainable Hawaii here at ThinkTech Hawaii. You can tune in every week on Thursday at 2 p.m. to see interviews with sustainability professionals from around the state and even further abroad, learning about activities with water management, food security, waste management, and a whole host of other fascinating opportunities to get engaged with making a greener island. So if you're interested in making the transition from consuming individuals to communities of producers, check us out every Thursday.
Aloha, my name is Paul Jackson, better known as PJ, and my local interest is in sports. I have my own sports radio show at KWAI AM 1080 that you can stream live. I also have my own website, pjsportsradio.com. We have live guests in studio, and we talk about discussions and topics that everyone wants to know locally here on the islands. We cover everything from surfing to basketball to whatever's going on locally, sports-wise. We try to do our best and cover the topics in depth as much as we can. Once again, thank you for joining PJ here on Hawaii Sports Update.
Oh yeah, we'll have to sneak
I was
that
trying
in.
to sneak it in, but
Well, you may still have a chance. Oh, we're on air. Oh, thank you. So we're on air. Welcome back. We're here with Justin and his company called Pillar Systems. And they don't make pillars. They
make
this-
power.
They make power. And they make it in
They
this
store power.
They store power. They make it this incredible way. So so where we left off, we were talking about the costs and the battery disposal and all those kinds of things. So in addition to reducing the costs, I gotta believe your costs are also controlled on what it takes to keep the facility itself maintained. Like, I know in the battery systems that we had to have air-conditioned rooms, ventilation systems, and all the electricity that was needed to run and keep
Yeah,
just
the
that
equipment.
room.
Sure, batteries have to stay at an optimal temperature, right? What is it?
Right.
You probably know what it is.
and then they have to control the hydrogen outgassing. It's actually not just lead acid, but there's hydrogen.
How
involved,
cold
too.
did they keep those battery rooms?
Typically
60,
75 around
70?
there,
Yeah, so,
on average.
So in Hawaii, that would be expensive. You're going to have AC running a lot,
Yeah.
a big air exchange unit, sure.
And a lot of real estate to store.
Sure, to
those
store.
batteries.
Sure,
And
they're
yeah,
huge.
right, and if it's in commercial real estate, one of the highest commercial real estate rates in the nation,
That's true.
that you,
That's
even if
expensive
it's
space.
industrial
That's-
space.
The flywheels at, the large facility here, for example, are they're 4x4 maybe, not that big. They're like in a cabinet. I don't know how big.
Yeah,
how
we
big
have
do they
one
get?
down the street in a hospital here, and it's maybe 500 kilowatts is only 10 feet by 4 feet. It's not that big.
Yeah, so
it's pretty dense.
Sure. So it just goes right in the rack row. Yeah.
It's
Or that
usually
would stand
actually in
alone.
like an electrical room, switchgear room.
Oh,
something
that's
like
right.
that.
Yeah, it is. That's right. in
It's at
in
like the
closet.
480 volt level.
Right. Gotcha. That's
So,
right.
and then
I
you,
remember seeing
now
that.
do you monitor these flywheels remotely, or are they monitored within the facilities?
Typically both.
Typically both.
Yeah.
So, wow, so you've got technologies then also on the network side that are monitoring the flywheel, which, as I understand, are running constantly.
Yes.
So it's like,
Are they part of the power? Are they part of the power quality? Or are they just sitting there? You're just trying to make sure that they are running in case you get ripples or you get brown,
Right,
brown
they're-
situations or low.
They're
low
just
power.
sitting there spinning, and when you need it, you start drawing on it, and then you send it like a start command to your generator plant to start up and synchronize, and then you hand off from the flywheel to the generator.
Wow.
It's just a bridging device.
So it's not part of constant feeding to help with, keeping power at a certain level or something. Like, would it work in a brownout a little bit or
No.
without a full failover? Okay,
No.
so
There's a
you're in a
different
failover
component
scenario
in the UPS
when you.
that would take care of that.
Gotcha.
okay, so yeah, so your UPS is in there taking that piece. You've got it's a combination, probably a combination of batteries and flywheels.
Yeah.
That you would have to keep these facilities up and running. So now let's.
We'll have to bring in like DR Fortress or somebody to talk to us
Yeah,
about what.
we'll bring-
Because they host so many people
Yeah.
here.
Or bring Fred or Rosa
And
in.
they got
and have
the
them-
huge generators outside. They've
Yeah.
got the flywheels inside. I've seen those. It'd be
Yeah.
nice to see what what does it take? How long does it?
He can bring us.
And you're out, so you've got some clients out here. You got probably huge data centers on the West Coast. I'm thinking.
Oh, yeah.
They're the size of malls, or I mean, what have you walked into out there? You can talk
Yes,
about.
I'd say the size of a mall, 40, 50 megawatt facilities that use, really small, dense units at, maybe they distribute at higher voltages. They just, when they're doing data centers and that's their business, they put a lot of money and time into designing it and operating it to the most optimal way.
And they're spread out all out in the desert now, right? They're going out buying cheap land, throwing up a data center or
Yeah.
two, failing over whole data centers at a time for redundancy, things like that.
Wherever land is cheap, wherever cost of electricity is cheap, wherever they can get rebates from the state, Nebraska, all these different states are
Oh.
trying to offer incentives for the big wigs in Redmond and Silicon Valley to build a data center there.
Yeah, so I like what you were just saying there. So you've got the big facilities right in Redmond and so on. I love the term bigwigs, and but the states are getting involved, and they're getting them the rates, the power rates that make it attractive to put those kinds of facilities here. You take a look at 42 cents or 37 cents or 40 cents per kilowatt hour for power here. There is absolutely no way you're gonna go out of your way to build a massive data center in
Hawaii. No.
with power costs that are
Sure.
that are like thousands of times more than what you could get down across the pond.
I live in San Diego, and it's not nearly as expensive as it is here. However, a lot of data center providers are trying to get out of San Diego because it's still considered expensive.
What do they pay? Like,
13 cents per kilowatt
and that's
hour.
expensive.
That's
So what do they pay in Nebraska?
4 or 5 cents. Yeah, I'm sorry, you didn't want to know that.
Oh,
sorry.
10% of our cost.
know.
Is that because there's no one there using? I mean, is it,
Yeah, right. It's-
I mean,
I
it's-
think there's just a lot of cheap coal generation and other,
I see.
it's not clean. So these companies will mitigate that plant or that data center by then buying 150 megawatts of wind power. I'm sure if
Oh,
you,
I see.
Go on the internet, they'll
They
try
have to do
and
the
Yeah,
carbon credits.
make Greenpeace
Gotcha.
somewhat happy. Okay, we built a data center here that uses coal, but we did make a power purchase agreement for 150 megawatts of solar or wind.
I see.
Okay, so you've got those going in there, and then we've got Hawaii Gas working on their LNG project.
Yeah, LNG
Hopefully-
will help
it's
Hawaii's
certainly gonna
costs
help
there,
us.
yeah?
It's
Help
gonna
us
bring
stabilize that?
Hopefully bring our costs down. So we've got I'm looking forward to that.
Next era said they won't raise us for 2 years or 4 years. I was reading in the paper this
they
morning.
talked about that was in the paper. So and there's a lot of controversy on that acquisition. So we'll see how that goes. So and then the oil prices are coming down, which you think we would gain from. But there was a thing in the paper today or the news this morning that Hawaiian Airlines actually lost money because of their oil hedging. They buy the oil
they had
hedging
bought it at-
and they bought it at high, and now they can get it lower. Now they're still gaining on it on the long run, but it's that they all play that. All the power companies play those hedging games as well.
So how big a part are your systems of, I would think most critical infrastructures are, they have to provide failover power. There's the utility itself, and then the systems that supply the utilities. Are you in there, like when they've got to bring a plant back online, are you a piece of that component as well to keep the startups for that ready, or do they just, the plant dies and they just fire it up again from a process?
You mean like a power plant, or you?
Sure, like
talking-
the utilities themselves.
that's a market that seems to be growing on the mainland, especially in the West, in California, in terms of like trying to clean up transmission losses, control different voltage sags at the end of transmission lines. We're seeing lots of different activity in the market to put in some technology to clean up the power, but right now it's not mainstream, and it's something that we think might happen first here or in Guam or Kauai or wherever. And we think that, you know, flywheels, batteries, there's lots of technologies that I think will play an important role.
And is it for stabilization of the power, or for just supporting so that there is power when it's fluctuating, you know, badly, to keep it, or both?
There's a lot of applications that they need support for frequency regulation, controlling intermittency of, you know, PV. They change their production rate whenever there's cloud coverage, cloud passage. So you might need some ramp control when they're coming on and off. You don't want a snowballing effect where, you know, they're all disconnecting at once and then your frequency gets out of whack.
We're not going to get snowballing in Hawaii. I can know that. So anyway, we got.
But maybe in Boston, is that a deflated ball there?
Oh, nice.
Tom Brady knows
nice
nothing.
shot. Oh, wow. Okay, we're closing up the shop right now. Anyway, your timing is perfect. Anyway, I lost my train of thought, sucker. Anyway, I was going to ask you the last question about penetration. You got to be brief because we got to end this off. So, flywheel penetration in the market, 10%, 20%, nationwide. Any idea at all what it might be at this stage?
I'm not really sure. I'd say ballpark at 20 to 30%.
20 to 30%. So it's a new technology, a new opportunity. If you're interested in cleaner, if you're interested in greening of the world, I mean, this may be something you want to get into. So anyway, it's been a pleasure. I mean, and I really want to thank you for bringing it down to the level that I understand what you're talking about. So that's awesome. I want to just thank everybody for joining us again today. I want to thank Andrew, the security guy, for everything he's done. Angus, you never cease to amaze me. We'll see him again next week. I want to thank Emily and Zuri for helping us, and Jay. And oh, by the way, I think Jay's birthday is coming up next Monday, in case anybody wants to let him know. Anyway, follow us on YouTube. This was our fourth show, and hopefully it's getting a little bit more polished. And we've also got our traditional awarding of the autographed Hibachi Talk Solo Cup. This will be worth 25 cents in decades. Yeah, I mean, no,
this is a real honor. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so you hold on to that one. Anyway, thanks again for joining us. We've just burned up a perfectly good hour, and hope to see you again next week. We've got an interesting local guest. We have a female coming on because I've been getting challenged about how come there's no women in tech, and there's lots. And again, I want to thank Melanie from Paxson for helping me get through this without causing too much trouble. Aloha, everybody. Have a great weekend, and
enjoy the Super Bowl.
Go Pats.
Aloha.
Aloha.